Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icelandale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hey everybody, congratulations on making it through another week. We did it. Yay! My name is Gaarawarr, and this is Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show, where I tutorialize on a topic pertaining to idle champions, either champions or systems, and then I answer questions about it. With me today is Mars. It's Pirate Mars. Mars is here in the production booth, grabbing questions, keeping an eye on chat. So today's topic is Fleetswake 2025, but we're in part 2 of it because we're in the second week. We've got another featured champion that came out. Instead of a rework, it's another new champion. And we're going to talk about them and all of the flex champions I didn't hit last week. Yeah, so if you have questions about today's topic or about any of the champions or any of the game systems, I can do that. I can't answer design and development questions, not really, because I'm not a developer for the game. I don't work for Codename Entertainment. I make guides for that. I've got over 180 guides that I just make for the community because I like helping people. And honestly, I gotta collect that information just for myself to remember for reference. So I've been collecting information and then posting it for everybody for like, oh god, how many years is it now? 17? Yeah. It's 2008 for game communities. So, you know, it's fun. I enjoy it. And because I do that, and I have so much of that information to see, and he's like, hey, come stream these tutorial shows for us. And I was like, okay. I will do that. I will do that. So, hey, if you have questions about, you know, today's topic and it champions game systems, throw them in chat, as it says down in the little white box with question : in front. And the bot, I mean Mars, will grab them. My stream's not fancy enough to have a bot grabbing them. We have Mars. Mars is going to grab them. And I will get to them in the second half of the show. So let's get on to the first half of the show. Half-ish. I mean, I got like 6 champions to go over, so it takes like half-ish of the show. We are in week 2. Sheila is the new featured champion. We covered Volo last week. You can hit up the VOD on here on Twitch. I'm not sure if did it go over to the YouTubes yet? I actually don't remember. I'm like, I don't know. Let me see. Is it over on YouTube? Not yet. It is not on YouTube yet. It will be on YouTube eventually. But you can hit up the VOD here. They don't lock you behind a paywall or anything. Watch the VOD about Volo and some of our Flex champions. But today we're going to hit Sheila. We're also going to talk about Zorbu, Sisaspia, Ariza, Solok, and Gale today. Everybody else we talked about last week. And we also talked about kind of, how events work. But if you're new, quick overview, 2 featured champions. These are the ones you're guaranteed to be able to get. So everybody gets Volo and Sheila. But then all of these slots down here are called flex slots. You can choose who you want. I chose Desmond because he's a beast. Not only because he turns into a werewolf, but just because he's a beast. For specific variants, and I like to have those options. I got a couple other flex slots. These 2 flex slots, this one and the one that's going to unlock on Wednesday, take 3 time gate pieces to unlock whatever you want. Well, this first one's free, and then this one is for cash. And I've got a thing about pirate skins. I love pirate skins. I may have got one of the community members helped me get the pirate Orkira skin. Obviously, pirate Sheila, swashbuckler Sheila is still on the to get list at some point, but that unlocked the Orkira one, unlocked the available slot for me. Also got me some event boons. These are like stacks of potions. You can turn them on and off individually as you need them. But you can get up to 4 boons with 4 purchases currently. We've got some active augments going on. The first 2 have to do with like the weekly offers. Then the empowered rewards just means if you're completing tier 2 or higher content, you can get corrupted gems for the Thayan Enclave. And then the last one means Sheila gets double chests, right? Actually, I already did. As you can see, I already did all of Sheila's tiers. There's 4 tiers of content. Tiers of content are basically power gates. So if you're new, you're not going to get all of them done. I just started a new account on Thursday. And I call it my pick 3 playthrough because it's not a free to play playthrough. I dropped like $30. I got the 3 pack of champions and then the daily boosts. So we are destroying the game so far. I think I'm going to be able to complete tier 2 of the event in my first event. It's ridiculous. It's so much fun. Come hang out with us over on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr for that. We'll be doing that 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, next week and beyond. But yeah, so you can choose who you want. So we're going to talk about some of these other options. I have all the champions, so I don't have to go in there to do it. Let's go here. We're going to talk about Sheila's variants first, and then we'll talk about the champions. So, Sheila's formation is a thing. This is hashtag not the greatest layout for new players. This is rough for new players. It really is. Established players, some established players are complaining about it too, but I mean, I think it's fine. It's just this, I got all the stuff done. It worked. But for new players, this one's going to be hard to push deep in. If you don't have a lot of swaps, it just doesn't work for like the core champions specifically. But every champion's going to have their own formation layout. As you can see, Volo's was a chevron. That one's easier. So there is at least one guaranteed much easier formation to push deep with in this event. So let's talk about the variants. So each one is going to have different completion zones. The first variant is going to be the lowest. Second variant, the mid. Third variant, super high. All of them, Sheila starts in the formation. She can be moved but not removed, I believe. Correct? Yes. So in this first one, you can only use good champions. This is a function of one of Sheila's buffs. The more modern champions, they're teaching you how to use the champion in the variant. A lot of the older ones, they don't do that. So just understand that. But the newer ones do. So only use good champions. Not the worst. In the second one, Karina joins the formation, and she's going to go right here where this red X is, which is problematic. Because good champions next to Karina deal no damage. And remember, Sheila's, well, we're going to talk about Sheila. Sheila only buffs good champions. That's why that first variant, you can only use good champions. That means you can't put your DPS here or here. So you got to figure out some way to use a DPS all the way in the back. Or as a tank. That's the only way it's going to work in this formation. And then you can only use champions that are 20 or younger, total ability score 78 or lower, or female or non-binary. If you don't have a lot of swaps, this might be a little difficult, but this is built around how Sheila works with one of her specialization choices. So that's what they're trying. They're trying to teach you to build around one of those. So the more heavily you go into one of these options, the better you're going to do. The bigger the buff you're going to do with Sheila, I should say. Not necessarily the better you're going to do. You got to find what works best for your account. Avenger the Destroyer. Oh, that was called Citadel of Shadow. Avenger the Destroyer is the last one. At the start of each boss area, Avenger arrives on his nightmares. An additional boss that must be defeated, so double bosses. What does it mean? It means it's a pain. Starting in Area 51, enemies that don't have an active debuff reduce all normal attack damage to just 1 point of damage. What does that mean? That means this is going to take a while. It's going to slow down your progress. It's not an issue. Sheila has this. Sheila has a deep. I recommend her left specialization choice. That's for this one. In general, I recommend her left specialization choice. We'll talk about that when we get there, but that's going to get you debuffs. And anyone else that you have that applies debuffs, yeah, is going to help you move forward even quicker. But Sheila can get you through this just very slowly. You want the left specialization on her second set of specializations. All right, let's get in there and talk about Sheila. Did I turn off my motoring core? Oh no. Come on, game. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Let's get that out of there. Get some familiars out here. Remember, folks, if you have questions, please put question colon in front of it, or we won't get to it. We will get to those in the second half of the show. All right, Sheila is over here in seat 7 with Minsk and company. Minsk and company. Come on, switch. There we go. All right. Here we go. I love the art and animation Nile champions. Let me just get this out of the way. But this one, like the hood up, disappear, hood down, super cool. But this, that one, I don't know that I'm down for that. 99% of the time they knock it out of the park. This one's maybe fouled out of left field. It was a little odd. Have I seen her at 10x? Yes, it's ridiculous. All right, female human rogue, neutral good, support and debuff champion. See, it's right there in the roles. She's a part of the Saturday morning squad. All we have left here is for Hank to arrive. They have confirmed Hank is coming. I know some people have been like, we're not guaranteeing Hank. Hank's coming. Other people have guaranteed Hank. I mean, come on. So Unseen Strike, melee attack is her base attack. She turns invisible and deals 1 hit to the closest enemy. Not even Thriller. Come on. Thriller I'd be down for. Her main buff is Kind Heart. She increases the damage of all good champion by an amount that varies. Kind Heart is the buff. That's it. She only buffs good champion. That's it. So just keep that in mind. Your DPS, if you're using Sheila as a support, your DPS needs to be good. On this alignment scale, it needs to say good over here on the right hand side. Otherwise, she's not buffing them. That easy. Cloak of Invisibility. Every time she attacks, the enemies become less coordinated, opening them up to more critical hits. For each attack that she does, to be clear, increase the critical hit chance of all champions by 2% to start, and increase their critical hit damage by 10%. Stacking additively up to 10 times and resetting every time you change areas. So as you can see, right now we are at 22.5% because we've stacked 10 times on this area. All champions, like the base amount of crit chance that champions and enemies have is 2.5%. And the crit damage went up. I think it started at 500%. Could be wrong. But I can't remember. It's that can vary. So they have to have some other thing like a passive that's going to give them a higher crit chance or an item or something. So she's going to boost crit chance to start 20% on everyone in the party, and she's going to buff crit hit damage 100%. Yeah, it started at 500. So 500%. So we doubled it to 1,000%. But I thought Saturday morning, my brain isn't awake yet. All right. So that's her first stuff. She's going to buff good champions and she's going to raise your crit chance. Crit, for those who don't understand, critical hit is basically a chance. When it crits, it does bonus damage, and that bonus damage is your critical hit damage. So it's just a chance to do even more damage than normal. Okay. Yes, you can get it over 100%. Yes, that increases the damage. Spec choices. First set of spec choices. Meekly meeting, youthful allies, or a rosy outlook. These are those groupings of champions. This is your formation build around or match. Like what this is kind of what she needs you to build to make her buff as big as possible. All of these function in the same way. They're all gonna buff Kind Heart by 200% for each of their qualifying groups, and it stacks multiplicatively. So on this one, it's real straightforward. Build out your whole formation. Then pick the one that has the highest number. Okay? Because multiplicatively stacking is the good way. Now this is, so the first group, Meekly Meeting, is total ability score 78 or less, youthful allies 20, age 20 or less, rosy outlook, female or non-binary. Okay. All right. And then let's go, does she have something in between that? She does. Okay, good. Like all the members of the Saturday Morning Squad, as well as Strongheart, who was a guest on the show, she's a scavenger. So she is the new potion reagent scavenger. So the potion reagents are a new thing that arrived with the apothecary system. Someone wants to ask about that. We can talk about that in the second half of the show. Sheila can help scavenge up to 2,700 currently additional potion reagents when killing bosses. So when you kill a boss, these could come out of the bag if Sheila's in the party. While the cap is not reached, she has a 10% chance of scavenging 5 of these each time a boss is defeated. And then the cap increases by 100 every day. That's every day since she arrived in the game. Not since you unlocked her. So right now, we're at 2,700. But next year, it's going to be a huge number, right? Huge number. Like next year at this time, it's going to be the 38, 39,000, like something, right? Like, but you get 100 extra every day. Okay. So they front load some, and this is actually a decent amount to front load, a couple thousand. Gets used to the system. And then you're going to get 100 more every day for free. Right? Her ultimate attack is invisibility. She turns invisible for a short period of time and then attacks each enemy. That's the key. Each enemy on the screen is going to get hit. She's going to attack every one of them. And at the moment, it's like, so? She's not the DPS, right? But we're about to see her second spec choices, and that changes some things. And being able to hit every enemy, especially if you've got like 100 enemies on the screen, could be a good thing. So here we go. Frightening Strike and Raging Strike and Confusing Strike. And I feel like Confusing Strike should have been put over here because this one confuses me, and we'll talk about why. Frightening Strike. This is the one I generally recommend. Sheila's base and ultimate attacks frighten her targets. Frightened enemies take 100% more damage from crits, and that debuff stacks multiplicatively up to 8 times per enemy. So, she's raising critical hit damage. And she's debuffing people so that they take she's raising critical hit chance and critical hit damage and debuffing enemies so they take more damage when you do crit. It's like a nice little synergy. In fact, one of her abilities, one of her first spec choices, her right spec choice in the first specialization set was called the Rosy Outlook. She actually kind of pairs well with Rosie Beestinger if you go Rosy Outlook, because Rosie loves to crit and crit hard. So it's an interesting combination out of affiliation combination. I like this one a lot. Generically, this one feels good to me. In Raging Strike, Sheila's base and ultimate attacks enrage her targets. The damage enraged enemies take increases by 15% every 2 seconds. This stacks multiplicatively up to 30 times. Now, I'm a big fan of multiplicatively stacking things and big numbers like 30. The problem is this starts at 15%. That's small. So even though there's 30 stacks of it compared to the 8 stacks from Frightening Strike is a much bigger debuff. And then there's this final qualifying sentence. The stacks reset when the enemy takes out their anger by attacking a champion. Well, so this only works until an enemy attacks you. Ranged enemies can do that the second they get out on the screen, so this isn't going to do anything against ranged or magical enemies. It's only going to work against melee enemies, and only until they attack you, which means the only way this is going to have 60 seconds to stack up, is if you're basically stun locking and knocking back people and never letting them touch your formation. Which isn't always how you build a formation. Yeah. And isn't possible. Like, there's only one adventure that I know of, well, at one point in time, there was only one adventure in the game that had only melee enemies. So this one confuses me. The number is not, the debuff is not big enough, to make it really worthwhile. Just putting that out there. Confusing Strike. So Sheila gains the control roll. So she gets a whole new roll on her sheet. And her base and ultimate attacks confuse her targets for 3 seconds. Confused enemies are stunned and take a lot more damage and turn around and face the other direction. Did this get buffed? 2.5 EO4. I feel like that's a bigger buff than it was, but originally. So this one potentially a better idea. Potentially better idea. So the Frightening Strike, Confusing Strike, you pick whichever one of these you want. This one's really about control stuff is really built around champions who like interacting with other champions who like stuns and knockbacks and stuff. Oddly, she's in the same seat as the DPS that loves that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So in the variant where you have to debuff enemies to do damage after Area 50, you need her in her second set of specializations, and then attacking stuff, and then maybe park a familiar on her ultimate to make sure it's always on everybody when the ultimate goes off. That's how Sheila is going to work best. That's how Sheila is going to work best in that variant. But she really needs to hit stuff to debuff them, right? So feats. We're going to talk about gearing here in a second. I'm going to gear her up live. Feats. Increase the damage of all champions. We've got Kind Heart. We've got 2 invisibilities, and I want to point out the difference. This one increases crit hit chance by 40%. This one increases crit hit damage by 40%. So if you want to boost what can happen over here, see, that takes that one up to 30, and that takes this up to 1200, because math. Because it's boosting the bonus from Invisibility Cloak. These are going to be great. Okay. And remember, these amounts are shared with the entire party. So even just by putting these feats on her, you're boosting everybody's this way. Okay. She's got first set of spec choices, second set of spec choices. I like these. I'm gonna throw here, and what else do I want? We'll go Kind Heart by 40. That's a good setup. Because this one is her first set of specialization choices is these feats and her item affect the pre-stack multipliers. That's the OP way. So we're going to throw 40 here. I should probably just throw the 20. That probably ends up actually being better because it's pre-stack. All right. She has a couple stat feats. One is for charisma. This will help her qualify for Patron Zerial. And the other is for intelligence, which will help her qualify for Patron Strahd. Patron Strahd. All right, let's talk about gearing up. This is for new players, early game, late game, the late mid game and stuff where you have lots of chest options and tons of bounty contracts. You know what to do. I don't need to explain that to you. Or if you don't know what to do, you can ask specifically in chat. But early new players and early game players, you're going to have more limited resources. So coming into this, the goal of gearing up a new champion that you unlock in an event or out of a time gate is to get them to blue or better gear as quickly as possible. Because Epic, the purple, that's just a numbers game and luck. That's RNG and lots of numbers. So we want to try to target blue or better, because that's really a champion comes online and has solid power at blue or better. And everything else is kind of, long-term goals to get the maximum power, right? So we have a variety of chests we can open to do this. Electrums are one. Electrums drop gear for every champion you own. You also have like named silvers and named golds. In fact, I need to go buy some silvers from her. So we're going to go over here and we're going to spin these fresh fish on packs in the shop. This is how you get more gear for your champions. You can, spend however much you want. I'm going to just go ahead and throw it all the way over here to the right. And this is how you're going to get your named silvers and a bunch of named golds. You'll get some named golds from doing the variants, but this is how you get the rest of the named golds. Okay. So to get more gear for her. Now, of these, the way these chest rules work, the named ones are only going to drop gear for Sheila. You're guaranteed. Everything that comes out of these is going on Sheila. But with this, there isn't a guarantee. Right? It could go to any champion. Except if you already have like a blue or better, or even just green or better gear, and then you introduce a champion that has no gear to your bench seats, like my Sheila has, Electrum chests will magnet their drops to that gearless champion. Just the way it works. It's because they're kind of triggered to try to give you an upgrade if they can. And going from no gear to some gear is an upgrade. So the highest chance you will ever have of Electrums hitting a new champion is when they have no gear. So we do that. So you want to start with Electrums because you're guaranteed it's going to go straight to that new champion. Look at that. There's a green. They can do whites, they can do greens, and they can do blues, but blues are very rare. They're called rare, but they very rarely drop out of these. So you want to just focus on trying to get greens on everything. Like we've got, that's a blue card. We got a white. We got 2 greens and a white so far. See if we can get, there's 3 greens. There's 4. I mean, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Every one of these is going to drop gear for her. It's 5. That's a white. It's a sad little white, but there's all 6 of our item slots. And we want to just try to get, there's a blue. So we upgraded and we actually did get a blue. Oh God, we got another blue. We're getting too lucky. I didn't want to get that lucky. Oh my God, we got another blue. This is not normal. This is not normal. This is normal. Getting the greens is normal. Okay. All right, we're green or better. So what we're trying to do is get green or better out of Electrums. Now, if you didn't have enough Electrums to get her to green or better, you've still got some whites, then you would open, and you run out of Electrums, then you open the silver named chests for her until she's green or better. Okay? And then stop. Then go to golds. Because golds have special rules. Gold chests will drop an upgrade. They're guaranteed to drop you an upgrade. And they're guaranteed to drop you a blue. But they won't guarantee that the blue is the upgrade. So in this situation, we're mixed. If we were all greens, then we would get 6 blues in a row for the greens. Right now we've got greens and blues. We should get 3 blues in a row. We'll get 3 blues in a row. Because they will drop greens, blues, and purples. And what we don't ever want, we want the blues to be the guaranteed drop and upgrade every time. What we don't want is to have a piece of white gear here and have the blue be a duplicate on something and the white gets upgraded to green, right? So we want to be efficient. So if I go over here and I click on Sheila's chests, the next 3 chests are going to either drop blues like this. I might get lucky and get a purple. And these first 3, no. Nope, but there's all my blues. Now I'm blue or better. Now getting better than blue is a numbers game. I'm 1 chest away. Because when gold chests have a thing called a pity timer, and you can see it's this purple bar down below. When you get a chest for the first time, like this gold commercial chest from the newsletter, Your pity timer is 4. So I'm 1 away, because I opened 3 of these. I'm 1 away from getting an epic, guaranteed, for Sheila. But after that, it goes to 10. So here's my guaranteed epic for Sheila. Hey, you got 2. That's not normal. That's not normal. But I'll take it. But look, now my pity timer is reset to 10. To 1 out of 10. And at this point, it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game of trying every 10 chests. I mean, it takes a lot of chests, right? I have a lot of chests. We're going to get there. So now I can just, well, here, I'm just going to open. I'm going to dump these out. These are going to go to everybody because everybody's got gear. It's going to spread out. These will all go straight to Sheila, which is going to give me duplicates, but that raises my item level. See, it's telling me. It gave me tons of item levels, and that's what I wanted. And then these are going to give me the rest of the epics and more duplicate item levels, which is what I want. So now my Sheila is fully epic and has a bunch of item levels. For me, on my account, I'm going to get her up to 1,000 item levels, and I'll call it a day. This is a late game account, though, with a solid gem farm. But that's how you're going to efficiently gear up your champions, right? So let's look at our items. We got damage all champions. We got kind heart. That's our main buff. We get cloak of invisibility. This is going to boost, as you can see, it's going to boost, like, it affects the crit damage portion of it, is what it's looking like, now that I can see it over here. Not boosting the crit chance portion of it, which is unfortunate. Yeah, we're getting post-stack multipliers on the crit damage. Silent Boots of Silent Passage. These are going to buff that first spec choice. Remember, that's the good one. This is the good one. And then this is going to buff the second spec choice, and then this is cooling down her ultimate. Okay. If we come over here, you can see Cloak of Invisibility. You know, it isn't boosting this original number; it's boosting the post-stack number. But with a Rosy Outlook, it's actually boosting the base number. That's how we know this is mathematically overpowered ability, MOP, MOP, or pre-stack multiplier. All right, that's Sheila. Now we got 5 other champions to talk about. Let's move forward. We got Zorbu coming in hot over here in C12. We got Sisaspia in seat 1 that we're going to talk about today. We got Ariza in 11. Where's she at? Ariza. Yes, that's how you pronounce her name. It's Ariza. Solok is in 2. Where's he at? There he is. And Gale's in 1. So we'll talk about Gale once we here's Solok. We'll talk about Gale once we talk about Sisaspia. On the pawn here. Okay. I don't know what it is. I guess we can just talk about seat 1 first. So let's talk about Sisaspia. Sisaspia is a female Yuan Ti. Yuan Ti pure blood. So the pure bloods look like humanoids. Others look more snaky. She's a druid neutral evil, healing support and debuffer, no affiliation. Her main attack is Blight. It's a magical attack. She unleashes a wave of necrotic energy upon a random enemy. There is a weird thing. She's not a DPS, but this does deal additional damage to plants, but does no damage to undead or constructs. This is just flavor. It's just flavor because she's not a DPS. Her ultimate is called Fungal Infestation, which is horrifying. Sisaspia causes all of her spores currently affecting her enemies to delve deep into their targets and tear them apart from the inside, dealing massive damage. You'll see it's inactive at the moment. We can't even use it. Because until she puts these spores that are circling around her into enemies, there isn't anything to use. So we'll talk about how this works. Because this is her Halo of Spores ability. Sisaspia is surrounded by a torus of necrotic spores. Every second, one of the spores shoots out and attaches itself to an enemy that is near the formation. We're not seeing them go out because we're killing things too quickly, but eventually we'll get there. When enemies are damaged, they take a bunch of additional damage. The amount can vary over 5 seconds. So it's a dot, damage over time, dot. For each spore affecting them. So multiple multiple spores can go on people, and it stacks the damage. Normal enemies can only be affected by 4 spores, while bosses can be affected by 10. Sasaspia regenerates a spore every 4 seconds and can have up to 20 in her reserve. Okay. So, if we take away the familiars, is she gonna send it? No, we're killing things too quickly. Hold on, let's pull some people out of the party. There, you can see the spores kind of fly out and stick on people. They're little green spores. They go up real quick. See that? They'll build up to 4 real fast, but then she'll run out. She can run out as we get more and more enemies. But this is what it looks like. She's just throwing those spores out, and they're supposed to be taking damage over time. Mars, do you want to flag this? Because they're not taking any damage. Mars, you want to flag that as a bug to look at? They should all be dying. Well, I guess it's when they're damaged. Never mind. It's when they're damaged. They take additional damage. That's right. It functions as a debuff. Been a while since I've used Sasaspia. She is not necessarily in the meta, folks. Okay, we're good. Because they're going to die when they take 1 hit anyway. That's me. That's on me. Let's get everybody back out here. Who else? What else am I missing? This is fine. Okay. It's the other thing. Okay. Symbiotic infections. This is another part. Everything is functional off of these spores. Sasaspia uses a reserve of necrotic spores to empower a subtle infection she maintains upon her companions. So this is her healing effect. She infects her companions, but it heals them? This infection increases the damage of all champions within 2 slots of her. So she needs, this is her formation placement queue. She needs to be within 2 of to buff. So it's a buff by 33% for each spore she has used in the current area, stacking multiplicatively. We love that, right? Up to a maximum equal to her maximum spore reserve. So it's up to 20 stacks currently. Currently, her spore reserve is 20 stacks. So if we can raise that, then we want to, right? Symbiotic healing. That's her buff, and then this part is what heals everybody. So from that, Sasaspia's subtle infection from here heals damaged champions within 2 slots of herself every second for each spore she has used in the current area up to a maximum equal to her spore reserve. Okay, the same thing. You want to be within 2 of Sasaspia for her effects to go off. So this means you kind of want to have her within 2 of your tanks if you want to be healing your tank lines. If you're not worried about your tanks, if they're beefy, if the whole party is taking damage, then you want to put her within 2 of as many people in the party as possible to keep them alive. Okay. Dance of the Spores. Sasaspia's maximum spore reserve is increased by the average dex score of the formation, rounded down. She got reworked in the Age of Seasons, and it was the season of Dex. So she's the high dexterity person. She's looking to be in a party with people of Dex 16 or higher. And for every point over 15, she will raise her stacks. So she really, really likes high dex parties, which isn't necessarily what we all build around, but it is possible. There are some people out there that are super high dex. Okay. Also, it increases the range of Halo of Spores for every point. So yeah. Oh, so the average dex score of the formation is how much it raises her reserve, and then it increases the range, and you can buff further away based off this. So you can technically stretch her range for this is for throwing the spores. You could she's so confusing to me now. She got reworked. I have 2 versions of her in my head. The reworked version is not fully set in clearly. So So she's going to increase the range at which she's throwing the spores out. So she'll end up being able to throw them all the way across the screen for stationary enemies. But when she starts, it's just when they get close. Spec choices: simple infection, spreading spores, fungal body. There's one spec choice to rule them all. It is not simple infection. This increases the effect of this has to be symbiotic infection by 200%. It is not fungal body. This effect of symbiotic infection and symbiotic healing increased by 400%, which sounds nice, but only after she's used at least 30 spores in the current area. Spreading spores is the one spec to rule them all. Halo of spores now generates a new spore every 3 seconds instead of 4. So instead of 15 a minute, you get 20 a minute. This is better. And her maximum reserve spore count is increased by 10. Remember, she multiplicatively stacks based off her max. So this is the one spec to rule them all. Because you want that multiplicative stacking as high as possible. Okay. That's everything for her. Item-wise, damage all champions, Halo Spore, Symbiotic Infection, Symbiotic Healing, Ultimate Attack Damage, and Ultimate Attack Cooldown. Beats. Damage of all champions. Increases her maximum spore reserve by 10. Cha-ching. We're going to do that too, right? That's why it's already in. Increases the effect of Halo of Spores. Increases the effect of Symbiotic Infection. Increases the effect of Symbiotic Healing. There is a Dex feat. Because why not? Because this is going to help. This can help you raise the average dex of your formation, which again is going to help her out. So there's that too. There's that too. She's really dexy and she knows it. All right. We're going to talk about Gale now because Gale's in that seat. Let's talk about Gale. All right, let's throw Gale up here. This is Gale of Waterdeep. Gale, there's only one Gale in Waterdeep. This is it. Male human wizard, neutral, support, and debuffer. He's a member of the Absolute Adversaries. Main attack is Firebolt. He deals 1 hit to a random enemy, but he prioritizes enemies he hasn't hit yet. Wow, I can talk. He prioritizes enemies he hasn't hit yet. There's a reason for this. We'll get to it. His passive ability, level 0. As an ally of Elminster, Gale can be used in any Elminster patron, adventure, or variant. So he's a party crasher. He goes to all Elminster stuff, whether Elminster wants, whether the variant wants him there or not. He's gonna go. Okay. Archmage's Insight. Gale increases the damage of champions in the 2 columns in front of him by an amount that varies. So having him up here really doesn't make any sense. He would want to be 2 columns. He would want to be a column or 2 behind your DPS. Right? Still going to throw him up here for reasons that we'll get to in a bit. Netherese Orb. The first time Gale damages any enemy, they take a bunch more damage from all subsequent attacks. This is why his base attack prioritizes enemies he hasn't hit yet. It's to spread his debuff to everyone. That's right. Gale is a man spreader. So he's going to automatically debuff everyone on the screen. Just give him time. He's going to debuff them all. Okay. Spec choices. We have Evocation, Abjuration, Enchantment, or Illusion. Just like in D&D, this is going to change how he works. So Evocation, his Firebolt base attack deals damage to all enemies in a small area. Which means AoE debuffer. So you want to debuff stacked up enemies in an AoE instead of waiting for him to be able to attack them all individually? Evocation. With Abjuration, he gains the control role and attacks against all champions in the formation miss 50% of the time. This is a survivability feature. So if you've got issues keeping your party alive, like maybe you're facing someone that's AoEing the entire party, this is going to make them miss half the time. Okay. For Enchantment, this increases his Archmage's Insight number of columns by 1. So instead of buffing in the 2 columns in front of him, he'll be able to buff in 3 columns in front of him. This could be big based off the formation layout or the DPS champion you're using if you want to hit multiple people with it. Okay, so this is all functionality stuff. And then he can use his illusion. Archmage's Insight now affects his column and the column behind, so it changes his buff functionality. Same column and the one behind. And enemies that attempt to attack Gale will instead attack a different champion, assuming another valid target exists. This allows him to exist in the tank column if and only if there's 2 champions in that tank column. So in this formation, you wouldn't put him up front with this spec. Okay? But if this was the front column of the formation, you could put him up here with another tank. Enemies would walk up and then walk over here every time. And then the DPS would want to be behind. That makes sense? We call this an anti-tank or a nega tank. Basically like a Jedi mind trick. It makes them walk the other way. All right, his ultimate effect is Gale's Gale. Gale casts Gusts of Wind, knocking back all enemies. So screen-wide knockback. Deals ultimate damage to them and then slows them for everybody that was on the screen for 15 seconds. Here's what it looks like. That's it. Here's what her thing looks like, and it doesn't. I mean, she goes invisible, she attacks everybody, and then she comes back to the party. Second spec choice. Theramorphosis, Mystical Mentor, or Finite Fellowship. This is the stacking one. All of these stack multiplicatively, and they're based, and it's a build around. Like, how are you using them in the formation? For Theramorphosis, this is with absolute adversaries. This is the only time that he will generate a Theramorphosis stack. He doesn't generate one normally. It's only if you do this. And then he will increase the damage of Netherese Orb by a bunch for each Theramorphosis stack. Okay? So when you're doing an absolute adversary-centric formation with lots of tadpoles, you go Theramorphosis. Mystical Mentor. This is Gale increases the effect of Netherese Orb, so it's the orb each time. For each champion in the formation with an intelligence of 13 or higher, stacking multiplicatively. So this is based off using lots of high intellect champions. So we got 4 stacks of this currently. So this would be where we would go here, right? And then Finite Fellowship. This increases the effect of Netherese Orb by a very small amount, but it's for each champion you have unlocked, like down here, that you own, that is not eligible for the current adventure. This is a kind of a late game option, and it's really for variants, for real highly restricted variants after you've unlocked lots of champions. There's 147 champions in the game now, and there's some variants that give you 10 or less. So you end up with like 130 something stacks of this multiplicatively. It's huge. It's a big number. When you end up with that many stacks multiplying, yeah, even off a small base value. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. I have now in all of my champion guides for specializations that do this, that stack multiplicatively but with differing values, where you've got to figure out, well, which of these values is going to be the biggest one. I now have tables for these below the spec choices that compares the bonuses and lets you then just look at that. It's based off the base values, but you can just look at the total numbers that you see down there and get the right one, right? And I have one of those for Gale. It makes it super easy then to use Gale and to choose the right spec. An Experienced Sage, this is his other Elminster synergy. So he increases the effect of his Archmage's Insight buff by 10% for each Elminster patron variant that you've completed, stacking multiplicatively. So the more Elminster content you do, the better Gale gets. And I've not done a lot. There are 463 patron variants available. That's a lot of stacks. Karlach works in a similar way, but for Zerial. And when you get her above 300, it's like, it's go time. So I imagine Gale's also going to be pretty big if you get him over 300 stacks. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of elements for stuff yet, obviously. Item-wise, damage all champions, Archmage's Insight, Netherese Orb, Experienced Sage, and then ultimate attack and ultimate cooldown. Feats, we got some hotness. We can do the regular damage all champions, but then he's got one that changes his alignment because he is a neutral. He's true neutral. This will make him neutral good. So it will actually make him a good champion, which means when you slot this, you can then use him in patron Mert stuff. Mert wants you to either be good or evil. He's like, you can pick a side. But also there's other champions, right? Like, that you can then use him with. We got Archmage's Insight stuff. We got Netherese Orb stuff, which I need to change. I've gotten some of these since I haven't used Gale since I bought some of these feats. We've got an Experienced Sage, and then we got his spec choices. Those are the ones I go heavy on. He's also got an Immolation feat, speaking of hotness, which means every time he attacks, he deals a second of Bud damage for 5 seconds. So it's a dot, damage over time, but it's a Bud-based dot. This means that even though he's a support, if your Bud is high enough when you're attacking an armored enemy, his attacks will remove segments as well. So this is an Armor Shredder feat. Okay. And those are great. Those are great. All right, let's talk about Solok. If you can see, Solok is the one back here riding the dragon, not the one in the formation. Okay, I want to be clear. Solok is a male Kalashtar Ranger, neutral good, support control, no affiliation. Ranged from the back of this dragon, knockback strike. They fire an arrow at the closest enemy, dealing damage and knocking it back a short distance. Their passive is Drake Warden. Their pet pseudo-dragon Levitz, that's the one floating in the picture here, takes their slot in the formation, while Solok rides his Drake companion Tempest into battle, which is he's back here. He attacks from Tempest. If Levitz is knocked out by enemies, Solok and Tempest retreat from the battlefield until you change areas. So basically, that's the death mechanic. Compatriots, Solok gains a reach stack for each champion with a ranged base attack in the formation. So Solok likes to be in parties with lots of ranged attackers. Each stack increases the damage of these champions by 400%, stacking multiplicatively. So this also means that your DPS with Solok needs to be ranged. Otherwise, this isn't even working for him. So you want a ranged DPS, and you want a party full of ranged attackers to get the most out of Solok. Maneuvers. The effect of Compatriots is increased by 25% each time an enemy is knocked back. He has a knockback himself, but this will synergize with any other champion that has a knockback. This stacks multiplicatively up to a max of 50 stacks and resets when changing areas. Critical Mass. Solok increases the effect of the outgoing positional formation abilities of all champions with a ranged base attack. There's that qualifier again. Are you getting it yet that he is the person that supports ranged formations? I hope so. 25% for each reach stack he has. So again, building reach stacks, which is the ranged people in the party. That's what this is going on. But it's only going to affect positional formation abilities. PFAs. These are things that are like Gale, where he buffs the 2 columns in front of him. Or Celeste, buffs adjacent champions. If it's somebody that says the buffs the damage of all champions, or Sheila buffs the damage of all good champions, that's not positional. This wouldn't work. Okay. All right, Blitzing Barrage. Each time a champion with a ranged base attack attacks. Are we getting the ranged part of this kit yet? There's a 5% chance per stack of reach that their base attack cooldown is instantly reset. So you can have 10 stacks of reach. This would be 50% chance. Lots of attacks. Hopefully lots of knockbacks. This is basically, it's all about building up based off ranged attacks, attack speed, knockbacks, more damage. That's what this kind of whole kit is building around. Spec choice is Unwavering, Embolden their Confidant. Unwavering, Solok's base attack speed is reduced by 2 seconds, so attacking faster. And the effect of maneuvers is increased to 30% per stack. So attacking faster, knockbacking faster, all the stuff faster. Embolden, but just for Solok. Embolden, Solok's normal attack deals damage to all enemies in a small radius. AoE knockback. And all enemies hit take an additional amount of damage for 5 seconds. AoE knockback, AoE debuff. Okay. Confidant. Each formation slot occupied by an escort adds a reach stack. So when you are in a variant where there's multiple escorts, NPCs or carts or barrels, they're going to count towards reach stacks for Solok. Okay. All right. Get them all the way leveled up. There we go. All right. Is there anything else? I feel like that was it in their kit. It is. Okay. That's what I thought. Ultimate. Tempest. Solok flies over the enemies on Tempest's back, while Tempest breathes lightning breath on the enemies below, dealing damage, stunning, and knocking them back. Here's what it looks like. Boom. He went around the world and came back. Items. Damage. Pair of damage all champions. Compatriots. Maneuvers. Ultimate attack. Ultimate cooldown. Feats. Damage all champions. Then we have some electrifying feats. Solok's base attack has a 10% chance to stun enemies it hits for 4 seconds. So just adds a stun. This one is another 20% chance to do it. This one is another 40% chance to do it. So if you need stuns, you can boost 70% stun chance on his attack with these feats. Compatriots and then maneuvers. So interesting thing. It's a feature of the lightning breath off his friend here, Tempest. What they're building around. All right, let's talk about Ariza. Ariza, female, Aasimar, cleric, bard, neutral good, DPS role. This is not what she normally looks like. This is what she normally looks like. I'm always in the pirate skins. DPS support, Sirens of the Realms affiliation. They're not getting any more of those, and yeah. Scorching Ray, magical attack. Ariza summons rays of fire and hurls them at multiple random target. Okay, so random base attack. Her ultimate is her first unlock, and it is a power ultimate. So her eyes light a glow and 2 angel wings burst from her back. A wave of divine energy surges across the screen, damaging all enemies. Here's what it looks like. Okay. Stuff's going to happen while that's active. Flaming wings. Whenever Ariza uses Radiant Soul, her ultimate, her wings burst of flame, and flaming wings, the ability, gains 45 stacks. Stacks decay by 1 per second. The damage of her Scorching Ray is increased by a bunch, plus another amount for every stack remaining. So it starts off at its maximum and then slowly peters off. At 0 stacks, her wings and damage bonus are removed. Whenever Ariza gets a kill, the stacks reset to 45, but the decay rate increases. So if you're killing, you can keep the bonus going, but eventually it's got to run out. Okay. Spec choices, we can either go Blazing Soul or Long Burn. So Blazing Soul, the effect of Flaming Wings is tripled, 200%. Or Long Burn, she starts with 50% more stacks. So instead of 45 stacks, she'd go to 67. So lasts longer, does more damage up front. Okay, I like that one. Being honest. All right. Go next one. Bardic Connection. Ariza seeks out Vlanya, another member of the Sirens of the Realms. In the formation, increases the damage of champions along the shortest path or paths between herself and Vlanya by an amount. So this is a way to buff multiple people if Vlanya is in the party. If she's not in the party, Ariza buffs the damage of herself and adjacent champions. So she, even without Vlanya, she can buff adjacently while also buffing herself. Okay. Spec choices for this. Second spec choice, Siren's Connection or Fierce Connection. Siren's Connection buffs Bardic Connection by 200%. Fierce Connection, Ariza's damage is increased by 200% for each champion affected by Bardic Connection. So this is if you have in a build around, like adjacent build around, or in this stretch, and it stacks multiplicatively. So this can be really good depending on the formation layout. If you're using Vlanya's enthralling performance buff always applies to Ariza, and Ariza counts as adjacent to her for the base portion. So it makes it easier to use Vlanya, but also this multiplicatively stacking could be big just for her in general. And honestly, it is. It really... This is always the better choice over Siren's Connection. I don't know if I have that in her guide. But yeah, because you want the multiplicatively stacking effect. All right. Is that it? Nope, she's got one more. Diva mode. Whenever there's a boss on the screen, her Flaming Wings and Bardic Connection abilities are increased by a lot. So that's her boss killer ability. She's got a self-damage item, a damage all champions item, so DPS support. Flaming Wings, Bardic Connection, Diva mode, and then reduces the cooldown on her ultimate. Beats damage all champions, self-damage. There's a feat to attack an additional target because she throws out multiple rays of fire. So this would give her another one. This is going to buff Flaming Wings. This is going to buff Bardic Connection. This is going to buff Diva Mode. So depending on what you want buffs for, you can bring that to the party. Last champion, the Genocidal Gnome. Zorbu, Male Gnome Ranger, Chaotic Good? DPS Support, Hunter is the new role. Hunter, no unaffiliated. Zorbu, Massive Bolt is a ranged attack. So Zorbu fires a bolt from his massive crossbow at a random enemy, dealing damage to all. His crossbow is called Thunderbolt, by the way. Main ability, Know Your Enemy. Humanoids, beasts, undead, and aberrations. All 4 are Zorbu's favored foes. It's a lot. To get 4 things just as a favored foe, just like, hi, I'm Zorbu and I hate all these things. That's a lot. He tracks the number of each type that he has killed. So he's keeping track. This is why he's a genocidal maniac. And gains a 0.01% damage bonus against that type for each kill, stacking additively. It doesn't sound like a lot, but folks, you're going to be killing a lot. If an enemy has multiple types, so if it is a humanoid and an undead, which very rarely happens, usually you're just undead. If it's multiple types, they count for each type, and the damage bonuses stack multiplicatively. These bonuses persist through resets. This is a permanently stacking ability. He is what we call a permanent kill stacker. We talk about him a lot when there's what we call Chumbawamba variants, where undead come out, and when you kill them, they fall down. It counts as a kill, but then they get back up again, and then you can kill them again. We love those. Zorbu's the one you want in those, because he's going to get those undead kill counts and just get 100 every however many seconds it takes for them to get back up again. 100 kills, 100 kills, 100 kills. Focus Fury. Zorbu's damage is increased by an amount equal to more than 100% of the sum of his base Know Your Enemy buffs. So he's going to total all of this up, buff it, and be like, I'm just going to take a generic damage buff against everyone with all of this. So the more, it's not just that his favorite enemies take more damage from him. It's that killing all of his favorite enemies makes him more dangerous against everyone. Okay. Hunter's Pack. This increases the damage of champions adjacent to Zorbu if they have a dex of 15 or higher. Okay, I'm not going to say it. Okay. Spec choices. So he has a support buff. He does. Lead the Pack and Hunting Partners. Lead the Pack increases Hunter's Pack by the bonus provided by Focused Fury. So it's feeding this loop of Focused Fury damage that's building off of all of his Know Your Enemy stuff, and it's buffing his support buff. Okay. Or Hunting Partners. The Know Your Enemy counters additionally increment once for each champion in the formation affected by Hunter's Pack, each time a valid enemy is killed. So this helps. This is your kill stack to bonus if you're with other, high dex champions. And this is just I'm going to buff a lot. I like big buffs, and I cannot lie, is what Zorbu says. Mechanical Squirrel is his ultimate. We're going to get to that in a second. Expert Hunter. Zorbu's damage is increased by the bonus provided by Hunter's Pack. This takes his support buff that he's like, here, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to support everyone else, and goes, no, mine. It just chains more damage into Zorbu. It makes Zorbu was the number 1 DPS for like a year and a half because of all of this stacking mechanic, folks. He has been surpassed now, but he is still a really high level DPS. Once you get him some stacks, that's it. That's his kit. Let me kill things and I will kill them harder. That's his whole kit. Mechanical Squirrel is the ultimate. He winds up a small mechanical squirrel. We don't know where he got it. He's not a crafter. I don't know. And since it's skittering towards a random enemy, he's not an artificer. That's where I was going. When it reaches them, it detonates a hidden vial of alchemist's fire inside. What? Dealing damage to and stunning all nearby enemies. Here it goes. Bounce, 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 bounce. Boom. We don't see the fire. I wish it flamed on the ground, but it would have lit everything on fire if there were people around him. It would have. Self-damage item, damage of all champions item. Then we get Focus Fury, Hunter's Pack. Another Hunter's Pack. Oh, that's right. When they reworked him, they were just like, double Hunter's Pack. Why not? Oh my god. It's just ridiculous. And then ultimate cooldown. Lots of feats. Damage all champions. Self-damage. Wolf Pack increases the effect of Hunter's Pack by 400% and the dex score of adjacent champions by 1. Which means even if somebody didn't meet his dex qualifier, if they're off by 1, he can get it there and buff the support buff he's giving them. It also means you can use him with people who care about high dex scores because he's going to ramp up the dex score of everyone adjacent to him. Okay. Know your enemy, Focus Fury, Hunter's Pack, all the stuff. Strength +2, that's for Zariel. Intelligence +1, that's for Strahd. But I want to point this out. Rarely do we get this, that I get to explain this. If a DPS does not normally qualify for Strahd, if whoever your DPS is, and there is a +1 feat for it, this becomes a buff for them. Even if you're just getting into 13, even if you haven't unlocked patrons, if you've got, well, by the time you get Strahd, you probably have Modron cores. They're hitting 13. Having this in is actually a damage buff because Strahd buffs people that meet his requirements in 13 by more than any of these feats buff, well, except for this one. So it is a better feat for damage than, say, a self-damage feat. Also, it qualifies 13. 13 plus is a qualifier on a lot of Modron nodes for buffs. So hitting that int 13 requirement is a big deal. This feat is a big deal. It's a damage feat, not just a Strahd feat. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, that's all our stuff. That's all 6 champions. Remember, we did Zorbu we did Gale and Sisaspi here in Seat 1. We're going to take a short musical interlude. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to hit up all these questions. I do have a bunch of questions here. The song we're going to on the break is for the genocidal gnome himself. This is Hate Makes You Cold from Bardic Inspiration. Generally one of my favorites. Enjoy.
Sloop so tall, never thought that one mistake could take away it all. I live a ranger's life but never heard the call. I will avenge my family until the day I fall. Bodies hit the floor, my temper short, and my list of fools is long. I'll cleanse the underdog of all who's done me wrong. You grow. A ranger's life is right for me. It's more precious than your gold, but I trade it all away to just go home. veins. It's all you're left with late at night when your hatred holds the reins. Blood I've spilled could fill an ocean made of pain. Past so far behind, it'll never be the same.
Song is so good. All right, we're back. I'm gonna hit up the questions. I'm gonna try to hit the stuff that's on topic first, and then I will circle back. Get everything else. Undead Moon asks, how did you get so many fish? I went fishing. No. Fresh fish down here, these event tokens, they drop at a rate of 1 every 25 seconds. There is no way to change that. It is a server-side calculation. It doesn't matter what your client's doing. You can't hack it. 1 every 25 seconds. However, we have these things called bounty contracts. Bounty contracts drop time-based rewards. One of those time-based rewards is tokens. It's really the only one that matters. It also drops gold, but it drops a semi-inconsequential amount of gold, even at higher areas. There's only like one time when it's any good to use for the gold, and it's a very small window. So we want to pop lots of bounty contracts. In fact, I want more of these because I want more fish. So I can gear up my Sheila. So, you know, every time you drop these, you're going to get fish, right? So now I'm at 500,000 fish. So, you know, collecting bounty contracts in between events, like storing them up or even using them in between events. You can use them if you want. There will be a generic token here. Instead of the fresh fish, there's a generic event token that will stack up. And then you could save them up, and then they turn into whatever the newest events tokens are. So that's how you get lots of extra tokens during an event. I highly recommend, for the vast majority of players, until you're late game and beyond, you make your own decisions. But for the vast majority of players, from new players through the mid game, just use all your bounty tokens between events and gear up those champions. Because again, you're using these event tokens to buy packs. You're getting those gear on those champions, and then you have strong champions to use. That's what you want, right? Yeah. That's how I get them. Do lots of gem farming, buy lots of gold chests, open those chests, and get lots of bounty coins. Hablin, is the guaranteed epic rolled at the start or at the end of the cards? The next, it's about the. It doesn't matter. It's about the chest. In that chest, you're going to be guaranteed to get an epic. Not about the cards. It's not counting cards. I don't understand why you would ask that question, unless you thought it was counting the cards. It's just counting the chest. It's only going to guarantee that there's going to be one epic in there. Every card that it rolls, there's going to be one that's guaranteed epic, and then you're going to have a chance. There's always a chance that an item card can be an epic in a gold chest. As we saw, I ended up with 2. Right? But that was not because of the gear. One was because of the guarantee. The other was just I got really lucky. Okay, let me hit these. There's some very subjective questions in here, and people are gonna like my answers, but let's get through them. They're event related. Satose, who would you use for Desmond's variant Strength to Persevere to get to 1600? Well, it's on my list to do, right? This is Strength 16 or higher. This basically screams Krond. Do you have a strong Krond setup? Do you have a strong Krond and strong supports to build with him? Krond cares about high strength. Also cares about evil, but this is high strength. So you would use, since everybody has to be 16 or higher, I'm going to build a Krond formation. This is why I developed all my champions, and not just focus everything into one. So I'm going to be able to throw Krond in here. He's going to do a lot of damage. Now, the other part of this is that this is a bud spiking variant. So it says a werewolf starts in the formation. An additional werewolf joins the formation every 100 areas until there are 6, which means you'll be down to 4 champions, right? Wrong. I can drop back to area 1, where there was only 1 werewolf. I can have a 9 champion formation, level it up as I progress. I could spike my bud on area 1, and then go back to auto progress where I only have 4 champions in. Don't care. As long as I have a fire breath potion going, I'm going to be killing based off the bud damage I spiked on area 1 with a 9 champion formation. This is the true definition of bud spiking. This is what bud spiking originally meant. People have watered it down to other things. That's what this is. Is it a lot of manual work? Sure. I save 2 formations. I save 1 formation, really. I save the full formation on area 1. And I just go back, I hit the button, I load them all in, I level them all up, or over level the DPS at some point, and then go back to auto progress. Right? This is related. Sargota, what is the hotkey to drop back to area 1? You can just hold down. You click and hold now. I'm not even touching anything. And it'll drag you back to area 1. Otherwise, I believe it's still, as was said in chat, shift click. Shift click will just move you back here. We'll move this back to area 1. You'll have to click on 1. But like shift to click on any of these will take you. But if you just hold down on this, it will actually actively pull you here. So click and hold. And that's what you do. You go back to area 1, load in the formation with your save formation presets down here on the left, level them up. Take familiars off the field because you don't want to be killing things. Otherwise, you can't spike your bud. You got to hit something to spike your bud. Yeah, my Krond isn't that strong. Forgot about bud strong. Well, Krond is what that's basically built for. 16 plus means Krond. There's a lot of 16 plus champions, right? But so look for what you're doing. Let's do here. Let's go strength 16 plus. Here's 16. There's a lot of availability. Like you could cast this with some evil and undead if you want. Well, it's going to be harder to cast this actually because you're not going to be able to kill everybody. It's going to be harder to kill everybody off. But you could do it. You could cast it with some work. But it's really built around around Krond. Lae'zel is a DPS here. You would not use Benwin. He's not that strong. Maybe Commodore Crux. This is not, a lot of people think this is a Desmond thing because of all of that. It's not. You can try it, but really it's about bud spiking. You would not use Minsk. You would not use Beelan Grim. You might be able to War Duke it. Maybe you could Yorvin it. I didn't realize Yorvin was that strong. I guess he's the bunny beast. That makes sense. Might be able to Bobby. I mean, see who you've got developed. Try Azaka. If you've been around a while, she's gonna have tens of thousands of item levels. You try whatever you got, but it's all about going back to area 1 and building a full formation. P. Mansell, for a new player, which champion should be unlocked first from the pool available in Fleetswake? It depends. So I literally just on my new player account that I just started Thursday, I opened this up. I looked at the champions that I already owned, which I had more than the normal amount because I dropped some cash. Plus, it was on Epic, and there were some giveaways. But you're looking for a champion. You're looking to fill slots down here, bench seats, where you don't have an extra champion already. So I figured out where do I need. I looked what bench seats do I need, and then I picked one that I didn't have an extra champion in yet. And it doesn't matter if it was a high level champion. I picked Solok in 2. I'm never going to use them. I don't use Solok. But I'm never going to use them on that account. Like, ever. But I picked them. Why did I pick them? Because getting to 2 champions in every bench seat is a requirement for split the party. It helps to make this button show up, and then you click on it. It's going to get you a background party and a Modron core. Background party lets you do more stuff. Modron core has buffs associated with it as you level it up. These are buff nodes that get bigger. And it has automation features associated with it. So setting a save formation and area goal reset, which enables gem farming cycling when you're AFK or overnight or whatever. So you can make lots more gems while you're sleeping or at work or whatever. It's a big deal in your overall progress, and more important than picking the most OP champions out of an event when you're brand new. So focus first on 2 champions in every bench seat. If you have 2, then focus on 3 champions in every bench seat. Why? Because there's lots of different parties you can get, and you would split the party 2 gets you another party, but then it gets you the fast core, which the power output isn't far behind the modest core, which is your first core. But you also get speed effects, so you can gem farm even faster, just even complete content faster. And that's the one that you're really shooting for, is the fast core. So that's how you should make your decisions. Now, in this event, if you need someone in seat 1, there's 3 options. We have Gale, or Kira, and Sisaspia. If you have a lot of absolute adversaries already, Gale is going to be the choice. Or if you plan on picking up absolute adversaries to build around, Gale is going to be the choice. Otherwise, where Kira is your choice. She's the queen of debuffs in the game, and she is a solid healer. Even in a game where healing isn't great, she's still a solid healer. Okay, and healing buffs her, makes her debuffs bigger. So, Sisaspia is like last choice. All right. Matku, as a newish player, what would be a good indicator when I should start trying to aim for tier 3 in events, and especially later tier 4, to avoid frustration, so I don't try them and get frustrated. Your Bud. Bud is your Bud. This number down here is called Bud. That top left, base ultimate damage. Your Bud is based on the DPS of the highest hit that any champ has recently achieved against a single enemy. It is literally your damage per second, based off your highest hit. Okay. This is the number you're looking for, because down on the bottom left, you'll see it says area base monster health. The area goals that you're trying to get to are fixed. 1200, like for tier 4, 1200, 1400, 1600. What's tier 3? Hold on. You're working on tier 3. Let's go look at the tier 3 number. Can't. In here. Gaarawarr, come on. You know how to do this. Jesus. Why does that not just... This is where I want to be. It's not going to tell me. 250. I don't have somebody sitting there. Hold on. I've got this. I have these in my guides. First off, in all of my event guides, I've got tables that have all of the area goals. Let me pull it up. 600, 800, 1,000. Thank you. 600. So tier 3 is 600, 800, 1,000. So at area 600 in events, the health at 800 and 1,000, the health is going to be a very specific amount. I have that in a table too. So for tier 3, first variant, you need your damage, your Bud needs to be E162 or higher. So my Zorbu right now could beat tier 3 with 5 people in the party. Tier 3 second variant, E215. Again, This group could take that out. Third variant, tier 3, E269. These tables are in all of my event champion guides. So E269, that's always going to be the amount. So you need to look at, like, if you want to clear, how do I know if I can clear all of tier 3? Can you hit E269 with whatever the variant restrictions are? That's going to be the hard part. Each variant is going to have different restrictions, but at least you know the damage numbers then you're looking for, right? I've got this for tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 in tables in all of the event champion guides over on the subreddit. That's here. There's a link to all of my guides. So that's how you figure that out. Like, you're looking at, well, how much damage can I put out? And you can figure that out usually before you even get there. Like, sometimes you'll know, oh, I've got a ton. Sometimes you'll be like, this is rough. I don't even think we're going to get higher there, right? Was that the DPS at the top of the screen or the bud? Bud. These numbers do not matter, ever. These numbers are garbage. They are lies. Do not pay attention to them. Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain. This is the man behind the curtain. Ignore that. This is all that matters. This number with the lightning bolt down here is all that matters. Base DPS is a lie. Running average isn't as much of a lie, but can still lie and be broken. And be absolutely broken at times. So, Bud is your friend. Look, I am passionate about it because it hurts so many people. When you use base DPS and you start adjusting your formation, the numbers get green or they go red, and the devs are like, this will tell you if you're building the right formation or not. But because it lies, it teaches people to build bad formations. And then people get frustrated and can't beat content when what the number that they need to be paying attention to is right down here. Right down here. And it tells you it lies. It's not like it doesn't tell you. It says right here, hi, I'm a static version of your base DPS. I'm not dynamically affected by timed or random events, stacking, or enemy debuffs, which are all kinds of really strong features in this game that create lots of power. I leave all that out. Instead, I just use a static modifier that's like a really small one to pretend that I'm giving you a real number. It's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. I am Toast. Could you describe how best to get Sasaspi's event achievement? I read your guide, but I'm still confused. I get it. All right. Gordis, yes. It being untrustworthy hurts everyone building a formation because using Bud to gauge the result of each change takes forever. Well, I will agree with the first part. It being untrustworthy hurts everyone building a formation. Yes. Using Bud to gauge the result of each change takes forever. I agree that that's true, but that doesn't mean that it's not the correct thing to do, right? I think we're conflating two issues. All right, Sasaspi's achievement is use Sasaspi's ultimate with 40 or more spores affecting her enemies. The big key here is getting to 40. My note said you want to get somewhere that your tank can stay alive even with 40 plus enemies on the screen. This is not that. Okay, that tip is overkill now. You really just need 10 enemies or more now. I will make a note to update this. Because now they reworked her. She can put 4 on each enemy. So the key is time. Because you need to get, she can only store 40 at base. When you spec her in, she can do 30. If with that feat, she might be able to store 40. Basically, you're trying to get 40 out. And you kind of have to count. But if you have 10 enemies out and they've all got 4 spores, you're good. So the more enemies you can get out with, the more spores you can get out, the better off your chances are. Hold on, update. Sasaspi's achievement tip. 4 per enemy. Okay, got those notes in. So you need 10 plus enemies on the screen. Take your DPS out so that you're not killing anything, because there needs to be lots of spores on the screen. She needs to be in her middle spec to build up the most spores and generate spores faster. And then wait until you can count 40 or more times she's spread one of her spores. You need to be watching, like counting as they're going out. If you think you've miscounted, then count higher. Keep counting more. Let it go until your tank's about to die. Then hit the ultimate. Because what you need is just 40 or more spores out there on enemies. If you put multiple tanks in a formation for health share and add a shielder, your tanks stay alive longer. You just want to be at a point where only your DPS was killing things. So when you pull your DPS out of the formation, enemies are just going to build up. And you can artificially create that situation at a variety of levels. It's a thing. It's a manual form of play you're going to need to learn, because there's going to be a lot of achievements like this where you've got to artificially create a buildup of enemies. So it's good to get you to learn how to do it. So yeah, it is easier to do now than ever before, but it's really about counting how many spores go out. Nyarla top deck. Know where we're going? Any idea when it's required to use scrolls or contracts? It's never required. It's always whenever you want to. So these are contracts. Scrolls are for trials of Mount Tiamat, or unlocking champions. I have this, I will never use it now, because I have all the champions. Scrolls are for trials of Mount Tiamat. That's a whole other thing. I would argue you never have to use these, which is why I've got hundreds of them. But you can, just to complete stuff quicker every time you do trials. Contracts, though, there's bounty contracts and there's blacksmithing contracts. So blacksmithing contracts go on event champions. Don't use them on core evergreens, please. Event champions only to raise their power. I prioritize speed champions when I'm starting out. Then I go to certain pushing champions. I've got a guide for that, Blacksmithing Contracts 101. Review that. It's got all your information for blacksmithing contracts. Bounty contracts, again, these drop event tokens in gold. I don't ever consider I ignore the gold part. I basically want event tokens out of them. And you can drop them at any time, but when you're dropping them during an event, it's going to turn into that event's token. And when the event ends, the game is going to automatically spend all of your tokens on random chests for the champions you've unlocked that you've chosen until it gets below 7,500. So if for some reason you want to save a bunch for the next event, like I'm doing, because Briv's in the next event, you just don't use them until this event ends. When this event ends, it auto spins. It turns this into a generica thing that says event token instead of fresh fish. Then you could pop the rest in between, but you can use them at any time to generate event tokens at any time. Gordis, when we complained about Zorbu's rework, love this question. They promised to revisit and tweak. Did that ever happen? No. We complained about Zorbu and Narak. It took a year to get a band-aid on Narak. We still just on one of Narak's issues. They haven't talked about the other one. And they've never talked about Zorbu. I think at this point they just don't care about fixing those issues with, like, it was an issue with how they did a small nerf to one of Zorbu's abilities. And a small nerf to one of Narak's abilities. And they said they would fix it because they didn't even know they'd nerfed it. They honestly had no clue. We asked them and they were like, wait, what? on stream. Wait, we did what? They didn't, and they were gonna revisit. They never did. So I don't think they ever will. The other Narak issue, which is the ultimate, we've made it clear that those feats did not fix it. Who knows when they'll get around to fixing that? So no, they never. Zorbu basically got a buff in most cases, but for people that had super high level Zorbus for high level kill counts, Zorbu got nerfed. And we were trying to get that fixed so that it was just a buff for everybody. And I don't think they care anymore. Hold on, is she in this event? She is, okay. So I can answer this question. Demon Gur, how do I determine how long Dynahair will be eligible for Elminster? I don't think there's a way to do that in the game currently. Not specifically. But what we can do is go down here and know that Dynahair is a year 7 champion. So she'll be good in year 8, which we're in now, and in year 9. But at some point in year 10, she will no longer be eligible for Elminster. Because you get a 3-year window. Unfortunately, I don't have it. I've been noting in my guides how long they're eligible for when they arrive, but it didn't do that when she first came out, so I can't tell you. There might be a site, there's probably a website out there that'll tell you, but there's nothing in game that's going to tell you that information currently. Yeah, we already addressed that. Okay, Head Crash 20. From this event, I want a DPS that isn't on slot 4. Okay. Which would be best for a generic option? Zorbu, Black Viper, or Ryza? Zorbu. Hands down. He's going to need a little work. He's going to need some kills, but hands down. Zorbu. Until they rework Black Viper and a Ryza. Let me see. Okay, 10 miles. Last one for the event, and we'll get to everything else. The leftover fresh fish will turn into the next event's tokens. No. Again, it's going to spend off anything like if I didn't spend these, it's going to burn all of these fresh fish on Volo, Sheila, and Desmond. If I didn't unlock anybody else, it's going to alternate chests between these until there's less than 7,500. So let's say there's 7,400 left over. Those 7,400 would turn into generic event token in the inventory. It doesn't turn into the next events. It turns into generic event token. I know someone's like, yeah, but then the next event it's going to turn into. But I'm being very specific about this because if you don't log in during the next event, it will not turn into the next event's tokens. It will stay generic event token. Say these things for reasons, folks. You gotta understand. So it will turn into generic event token. If you log in during the next event, that is when generic event token turns into the next event's tokens. I want to make sure I try to give as literal an answer as possible so somebody doesn't get screwed up. All right, generic questions. Habulin, how many corrupted gems should a new player have on hand for potential golden epics? Wow, this is subjective. That cost 20,000 before spending on pigments. However many you want. The rest is I bought 2 pigments, I'm sitting at 7k, and I'm regretting not having 20 or even 40k saved up if something good shows up on reset. Or do corrupted gems also they don't reset when the Enclave resets. So let's talk about the Enclave real quick. Stay in Enclave. This is where you spend your corrupted gems. You can also buy more. I got like 12,000 of them. We get new items every time there's an emergence. Next emergence event is in 39 days. Okay. So in 39 days, 2 hours, 21 minutes, we're going to get a couple new golden epics. We're going to get usually like two or three. We're going to get a couple skins, and we're going to get some feats for whoever the champions are featured. We're going to get a different emergence chest, and we're going to get another 10 stack of pigments. It says remaining stock 6. These are at the front, like the front facing. It's going to stack in 10 behind it, so you'll buy the old ones first. It's fronting shelves correctly, like every good store should do. Old stuff in the front, newest stuff in the back. Yeah, so that's how it resets. Now, yes, there might be a golden epic that you want for 20,000. There might not. But the emergence event itself is going to drop you like 50,000 corrupted gems during it or something ridiculous like that. It's a lot. It's like 50, 60,000, maybe more. You're going to earn a lot during the event. What you're being worried about, and it's fine if you want to worry about this, is being able to buy it the moment it drops. The second I see it, I want it. Well, that's a you choice. If you want to save 20,000 so that you can buy it the second you see it, okay. Do you need to? No. Because emergence events are literally corrupted gem delivery systems. They're not going to give you everything. They're not going to give you enough gems to buy everything because they want to, they want you to pick and choose or spend money because the game's got a game. But so you don't have to save up enough. You're going to earn more. You'll earn more. It'll be fine. But if you're somebody who needs it right away, then you should save up. If that's something that causes you anxiety, and there's no judgment there. I am a being that is filled. I am puffed up full of anxiety. So I get it, but not about that. But some people might have anxiety about that. If you do, always keep 20,000 on hand. Doc Slaysman, once I use my gems to purchase all the familiars out of the shop, how do I get more familiars? Well, your patrons have one each in their shop. I can't. Let me show you here. Down here in these permanent purchases, I already got them all. Down in the permanent purchases, each patron will have one. Otherwise, cash. Patrons are one of the biggest drivers of income probably for this game. This is a new one. This is the only Volo's guide that I actually think is accurate. This is Volo's guide to Ceramorphosis. This is all you need to know. Stick something sharp through the freaking tadpole and kill it. That's all you need to know. Don't let tadpoles live. This is the only reason it's accurate is because there's no words to read. Just kill the tadpole. Right. So yeah, it's that. And you can get that just from saving up I gotta unlock my daily boost. Saving up platinum from logins. It's gonna take a while. You can get them free that way. Hold on, folks. Look, I can't abide. This is the most efficient $5 you can spend on this game. I do it every 30 days. Give me my triple login bonus, please. Also, gives you 700 up front, and then an extra 20 every day, so 1,300 total. Which is more than, it costs way more than that to buy it. Anyway, the cheapest, most efficient spend you can get in the game. So I had to get that. So yeah, daily rewards, you can stock up on this to get free familiars over time, but otherwise it's cash after a certain amount. Yeah, Volo's Guide to Ceramorphosis. It dead. You want it dead, yeah. E-Swordsman, do gems increase on higher floors bosses? No. It doesn't increase at all. There is a die roll. It's like 2D something. I don't know. I tried to get the devs to explain this, and they don't even remember what it is. It's like a certain number of dice plus a fixed amount on every off every boss, and it can crit, and you can get more. Mucho Bucho, any plans to do a Party Crashers and a Party Bus guide? At some point, it's on a to-do list. It's a low priority. I note who Party Crashers and Party Buses are in the specific champion guides, but I don't have a guide to Party Crashers or Party Buses. Party Crashers are champions that can go anywhere given a specific thing, and Party Buses are champions who bring other champions wherever they can go. Sometimes those are combined. They can go everywhere, and they bring everybody else. They're a Party Crasher, and they've got a bus. Habalin, how do you deal with the love-hate relationship with Eliwick when she gives you 3 gem cards but 2 flame cards? I love that, actually. I don't hate it, because I see multiple flame cards as a speed effect that helps me stack up if I'm Briv stacking. It helps me stack faster because they're moving faster towards the formation and thus attacking Briv quicker. I get some people don't like it, but I love it. Noroi, how do I unlock the rest of my feat slots? Hit the level cap, but I need to be a higher level. This button down here. That means you're using double upgrade to level up efficiently. Good for you. But once you need to unlock the 4th feat slot, click it over to 100 and over level past the cap. And that gets you, you only have to do it once for each champion, but that's gonna get it done for you. At some point, the next time they raise the champion soft cap, they didn't do it last. Did they do it last year? I don't think they did it last year. So maybe they'll do it this year. When they do, it'll most likely be higher than the slot 4 for your feats, and then people won't run into that problem anymore. But they've done this before. It'll happen again. Liara Hers, I need slot 5 to unlock a Modron core. Should I get Briv to unlock, or would Zorbu and his DPS be worth getting now as a new player? Well, Briv isn't available right now. There's no slot 5 in the event. It's available. So I don't. So get whatever you want out of Fleetswake, but if you were going to be like, I'm going to buy a champion, then you wouldn't buy Zorbu because you can just get Zorbu for free in the event. But if you were going to like, I'm gonna drop some platinum on a seat 5, there's worse options than Briv. Briv is great. Early on, Briv is just going to be a super beefy tank with some mega heals for you. He takes a super big investment. He is to become a speed champion. So new players, early game players, Briv is not going to be a speed champion for you without a super mega investment. But he is a beefy tank that will get you through just about everything in the early game and mid game. Literally, probably everything in the early game, mid game, everything he qualifies for, and beyond. I mean, he's a mega tank. So yeah, if you're just looking for a speed champion in 5, Calyx may be the better option. But if you want a mega tank and who's going to be a huge speed champion later on after you invest in him, Briv. Damashu, is there a way to farm patron favor except variance? No. That's literally what variance exists for, is to deliver patron influence. It's influence. Favor is what you get from gold in campaigns. Influence is what you get from patrons by doing their variance. Only way to get it. I highly recommend my Patrons 101 guide. It has a list of what I consider efficient patron variants to get you started off with lots of influence with very little work. McNeil DJ, at what point is a click debuff formation not as good as a solid high DPS formation item level wise? So click debuff used to be a thing. I think I've got a guide for it on the CNE Games YouTube channel to the click debuff meta. Is it still functional? Yes. Do I think you should be using it? No. It is a super high lag situation. It is very slow progress. Some people like to use it kind of when they're in the in-between and they want to get a little further. They happen to have a bunch of debuffers and it's working there. It's not necessarily about item levels for like when is the solid high DPS formation? It's not about item levels, it's just power. Like at a certain point it's legendary. It's legendary effects. Like at a certain point you get legendary effects in the mid game on champions from Trials of Mount Tiamat, and that power is going to be, and you level them up, that power is going to overcome anything you might be achieving with click debuff. But I don't like click debuff anymore for lots of reasons. Yeah, it's something that's out there. There is one variant in the game that requires it. It's Tale of Two Champions. It and its patron versions are click debuff. That's where click debuff originated. I gotta race through these. We're running out of time. I gotta go get my burrito for lunch. Korek, I know not related to what you're doing today. It's fine. What patron chests give levels to Omen? Omen Drawn, CEO of Acquisitions Incorporated. Excuse me. Ominifus Heroward Drawn. Vajra. I'm seeing Vajra here. Does he have a... You have a feat for Strawn? Where's his feats? Show me your feats, Omen. No. So Vajra. Vajra is the champion that would give gear to Omen. Got that in my guides. It says what patrons they qualify for in my guides. Noroi, on some lock feats, it says golden chest. Is it a normal one, or does it need to be character specific? It's all normal golden chest. It's if over here it shows a gold chest as the unlock, it's regular gold chest. That's the only place feats come from, a regular gold chest. Bloombob, what champions are particularly suited for Sheila's event variant, Venger the Destroyer? Anyone that qualifies over here. Here, let's go back, reset our filters. Roll, debuff. Every one of these champions qualifies because they've all got debuffs. Some are better than others. Some just debuff everything, like Strix debuffs anything that gets near her. It does, you do have to get things near her. Others are going to be on hit effects, so some of these are going to be better because they're debuffing just generically. I don't remember those off the top of my head. Others are going to debuff on hit, like Sasaspia debuffs on spores, or Kira is on hit, Gale's on hit, Esmeralda's on hit. Gale has that AoE one for on hits. Yeah. Most of them are on hit because that's a more balanced way. But there are a couple, like Ayla does it like when they're loading in. Krull has some loading in stuff. Yeah. I don't have it memorized, the ones that are different, that it's like everybody's debuffed. Barely listening. After you've fully epicked your core, like a Modron core. Oh no. After you've fully epic geared out core and evergreen champions, should I still be hoarding patron currency or should I start buying chests? Ooh, that's a good question. So yeah, I recommend not buying patron chests until you get full epic on your core and evergreens. You can open any you get from rewards. Don't bother spending the currency. Once you get, because your currency should go to your time gate piece and your Modron component chest every week. And then anything else you save up. Once you get full epic on core and evergreen, so you're not wasting an epic out of a Modron chest on a core evergreen, they want to all go to event champions. Then you can start spending this currency. I recommend saving enough so that next week you've got 7,500 for your time gate piece and your Modron component chest. As long as you're banking that 7,500 for the next week so you can buy it right away, then spend whatever else you have. Keep some on hand to always be able to buy your Modron component and your Modron chest. I mean, your time gate piece and your Modron chest. P. Hobbs, variant 3 on Desmond is rough. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Any general recommendations? General recommendation is you're using the best combinations of champions you have. This is how this game works. I cannot tell you what that combination is going to be, but a variant rules is written. Strength 16 plus. Here's who you have available. Who keys off that the best? Kron does. But you need to understand, as I was explaining earlier, that variant is not built around you trying to beat it with 4 champions. I know it says you're going to get 6 werewolves. If you go back to Area 1, you get 9 champions again. You fill out a 9 champion formation. Again, Kron is a huge beefy build around if you got him. If you don't, you got to figure out whatever your highest bud spiking champions are. You click and hold up here. You go all the way back into Area 1. You load in the full formation, level them up, take your familiars off the field, level them up so that they attack and have a huge spike of bud. Then turn auto progress back on, put your familiars back out with a fire breath potion and let your bud kill your way forward. When the bud stops killing, rinse, repeat, go back to Area 1, do it again. That's what that variant, that's how you beat that variant. It's not, you've got to have 4 champions strong enough to beat it. It's just you have to have 9 champions strong enough to beat it and know how to go back and max it out and come back again. Okay. I've had on my to-do list, I've had write a guide about bud spiking. I have a video guide to it on my YouTube channel. I don't have a written guide yet. Matt Koo, is it worth to keep Calyx permanently in one of the off-screen parties to get his boost to active party despite him not actually being a tank and possibly hurting the other party's progress? If you're trying to progress in the other party, then no, it's not worth it. But if you're doing what I do and you're just generically doing patron stuff, you can. I will say this, his that other party buff is not that big. So even then. Yeah. Noroi, what's a good upgrade for seat 10 for a first timer? Eliwick. This is Eliwick. This is what she normally looks like. She's your seat 10 go-to. If you're trying to get seat 10, she's not available in this. Is there a seat 10 in this event? There's not. So if you're spending cash on the game, seat 10 Eliwick. She's going to be a gold find booster, and she helps you generate more gems. It's huge. And Zweb 3D, Zweb 3D. How do I use the code? You click up here on the chest box. You control left click on this just to make it open super fast and close super fast. You copy paste the code into this, and you click unlock. If you're typing it out and it's 16 characters, you have to click the little 16 character button box down here at the bottom left, and then type it out. That's it. That's all of our stuff. Yeah, you could do cast, but really the thing is Krond has his main buff, his really only feature is an ability called Survival of the Fittest, which is strength 16 plus and evil people. So it's really built around him because he multiplicatively stacks with pre-stack multipliers on strength 16 plus. So it's kind of designed for him. But you can use just about anybody. Thank you all for I've got to do it at some point. Maybe we'll do it on my I'm on my new account now from now on, so I have to do this myself over the weekend. So yeah. For new last question, Haviland sneaking it. For the new player with 3 time gate, please, is unlock Mert or flex a champion? Unlock Mert. I know you want champions right now. Unlock Mert. Because Mert will then let you buy a time gate piece. So then you get extra time gate pieces every week. It's a time gate piece snowball, like Mert. Thank you all for asking questions. Thank you to Mars this week for grabbing them. Mars, because he's the pirate version. The streams on this channel return on Tuesday, but I am streaming on my channel, Twitch TV/Gaarawarr. I want to put my name in the chat. You can click on it and follow me because I am now playing a new player account. We are 2 days into it, but by 2 days, I mean we played for 2 hours, like 3 hours on the first day, and like 5 hours on the second. So I'm 8 hours in. Come see 8 hours in of gameplay Monday. Monday through Thursday of next week, we'll be playing. And I'm just going to be playing this new account, progressing like a new player should. Not like you might, but like you should. So if you want to come by and get help, or just see what the new player experience looks like nowadays, come check it out. I'm absolutely destroying the game. It's a pick 3 playthrough. So I did this pack over here with the 3 champion, choose your champion starter pack. I did that. And I picked Diana, Eliwick, and Ishii. And it's disastrous. I've broken the game. I've absolutely broken the game with those 3 champions already. It's wild. So come by and see how that's done. Have a great weekend, everybody. The song we're going out on is for Oriza. It's Bard to Get. She hit some notes in this that Zoom muted her for because they were super high, but once we get through that, then it rocks. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Welcome to the show. Sit back, relax. Come on, let's go. So why don't you just sit yourself down?
She's evidently cool, a diva and wine. She's all I can think about this whole night, oh yeah. She's playing bond again. She's making me sweat. Gotta let her know she's the best I can get. You can be suave, you can be sweet, you can be cute, but you're just not for me. Sit yourself down and enjoy my show. If you can't calm down, it's time for you to go. I'm just not a type, I'm just not a style, so I'll just enjoy listening for a while, oh yeah. Playing hard to get, I'm full of regret. If I don't let her know she's the best of the best. Good and dragon's breath, the angel and white. You're not leaving here with the sage of the night. You're going this way, and you're in for a fight. You're all by myself, making people upset. Stop treating me like I'm your bodyguard. You're playing bodyguard, ruining my set. Why don't you give me a chance? I'm not yours to romance. Do you think it was fair? All the scene underwear. Why are you so sad? I'm not your bodyguard. Interrupt me on stage, I go into a rage and put you in your place with my sword and rings, oh yeah.